G'day everyone, I want to show you another recipe today. The recipe today we're doing is Anzac biscuits. It's a great one to do with your class and it's very tasty. So to get started with our cooking, we need to make sure we've got our health and safety organised. So I have my hair up, I have my apron on, I've been over to the sink and I've washed my hands, I've sung my happy birthday song. It goes for about 15 to 20 seconds, and if you're doing it in a classroom, it's a great idea. It just gives them an idea of how long they should be washing their hands for. Our recipe today requires us to put our oven onto a moderate oven at about 150. So I'm going to turn our oven on to 150 and I'm going to turn the fan on. Here's a list of ingredients and you can see what we're using. We're using 1 cup of plain flour, and again our 1 cup measure and our knife is already in that. We need to get 3/4 of a cup of sugar, and again our ingredient measures are in there ready for students to collect. We need to grab a cup of rolled oats, and we also need a cup of coconut. We've got our butter on the tray ready to go. We also have our butter ready to go, which is 125 grams of butter. We're going to get some golden syrup, 2 tablespoons, and you can see I've got the bench already organised with a tray and some baking paper and a pot to put our golden syrup and butter in. So I'm going to collect a cup of flour and I'm going to overfill it, and I use the back of the knife to level that off. Then that goes in my bowl. Each of the ingredients that we have today have their own knife and measuring cup, so we don't have any cross-contamination. One of those. When we do this in a class, we often get, because the students can work in pairs to do this, we have like what we call a dry chef and a wet chef. So the dry chef would be collecting all these dry ingredients. And then the wet chef would grab the next lot of ingredients that I'll show you. So what we've done is we've got our butter and our golden syrup ready to go onto the stove at a low temperature. I have just given it a bit of a chop so that I'm not putting a big chunk of butter in the pot. I'm going to put that in. Now I'm just going to put that in and on, and that's going to go on at a low heat because otherwise it will start to burn. So while I've got something in my pot, then I turn my gas on, and I'm just going to turn that down a little bit so it doesn't get too hot. And I'm going to get 2 tablespoons of golden syrup. I like golden syrup. Now this can become a bit of a mess, so we usually get students to bring a container and they can put that in, and then they take that back to their room. Now I can already hear my butter melting away, so I'm just going to turn that down a little bit more. And I need another tablespoon of the golden syrup. There we go, no drips, it's not going to stick everywhere. How tempting is it to lick that? But no, set the good example and all. Put that in there, move that out of the way. Do you want to come in and have a look, please? In the pot. So there we go, that's getting done nicely. While that's on, I will just put the jug on, ready for the next stage of the Anzac biscuits. So our next part of our recipe is putting our bicarb and our boiling water in. So the jug has just finished boiling, and I'm going to grab a teaspoon of bicarb, put that into my measuring jug, and we're needing 2 tablespoons of boiling water. So we're putting the tablespoon measure over the top of the jug and measuring in 2 tablespoons of water. Now, if you're finding that your students are doing their cooking and their recipe is, or their ingredients are a little bit dry, you can also get them to come and collect their golden syrup in their pot. Because by the time it's gone into something and into something else, some of the mixture is still left in there. So if you're finding that that's happening, put your golden syrup into your pot. Come closer. Now this is the coolest part of, well, one of the coolest parts of the recipes other than eating. So we've got our bicarb and our hot water in there. Just going to give that a little bit of a stir. Make sure you get all our bicarb mixed in there. And we have a little bit of a science. Watch, 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 watch. And it starts to frothe up. Sometimes you can get a lot frothier than that. And then we're going to take our wet ingredients and then we're going to mix that into our dry ingredients. Getting all of that out of the pot. Moving the pot out of the way so we've got our nice clean work area. And we're going to mix our dry ingredient and our wet ingredients together. So I've nearly finished mixing my dry and wet ingredients together, and just going to make sure that down the bottom that's all thoroughly done, because you don't want to get to the end of spooning your ingredients out and then not have it come together. So again, when we're working in the room, if this is a recipe that we'd be doing in pairs, we put the mixture in the middle and then we just grab a measure of ingredients, put that in our hands, and I'm watching how Fran does it, and then put that on our baking trays. So our biscuits are on our tray and they are spaced out because they will spread. And what we're going to do is go over and put them in the oven. So we set our oven to 150 before. So I'm going to open it up. I'm going to make sure the oven door is completely open so that it doesn't fly up and hit us when we're putting our recipes, our cookies in the oven. And our biscuits go in landscape to make sure that they're not burning anything. And then I will take them out in 15 to 20 minutes and check those. While that's in the oven, everything can go in your sink area and that can be washed and dried while they're cooking. You need to keep an eye on the time. So if it's 15 to 20 minutes, you can have a look at the clock and work that out. My food has gone in at 10:25, so that's coming out at 10:35. No, 10:05, 10:15, at 10:40 or 10:45. If you're not remembering your time, you could always write down what time it is and then you can write down what time it comes out. So what we're doing at the moment is our biscuits are nearly ready but not quite, but we are rotating the biscuits so they have an even cooking consistency. Again, being careful with your oven door and using your oven mitts. Okay, so our Anzac biscuits have been in for about 20 minutes or so. I can smell them. Everyone in the whole school will be able to smell them. So we're going to take them out of the oven. I'm going to make sure I use my oven mitts, and I'm going to open the oven door completely so it doesn't come up and bang my tray. Oh yes, there they are. Now if you're watching this film, I can guarantee your mouth is salivating a little bit because I'll tell you what mine is. Okay, so everyone was safe and out of the way. I'm going to close that up. I'm going to turn the oven off straight away so that I know that that's all taken care of. Now your biscuits, when they come out of the oven, they're actually soft and they will harden. But what you can do is, we just have a little hack in our food room. I'm just going to grab that paper and then I'm going to pull the tray off like so and put that away, and then I'm going to do it again Just little things that'll save you time in the food room to get your students ready to go. Now, I would love to have a bite of those. Oh, look how soft and nice that is. Okay, I'm just gonna have a bite anyway. Try not to burn my tongue. It's hot. But I can taste the golden syrup and it's lovely. So, I would definitely advise you, talking with my mouth full, to have a go at doing the Anzac biscuits. They're great.